So, yeah, that's my intro. Hey guys, welcome back. Of course, you know we got to go over this assistant general, man. This is the biggest thing that happened to the game since sliced bread, right? So, the assistant general, I just want to, before we get into talking about the assistant general, let me allow everyone to know that nothing has changed with the main general. Everything he was able to do before the update and everything that he wasn't able to do before the update is exactly the same. Nothing has changed. Everything in this update in regards to the assistant general is about mostly what the assistant general cannot do, what it isn't allowed to bring with it. And we're going to go over those terminology so you understand what they're talking about. The very first of those things that they're talking about is the basic attributes. The basic attributes of a general is the politics, the attack, the defense. This is the basic attributes of a general. We'll give you an example of showing you how they're not being applied. We go into Hannibal, we see it's leadership, attack, defense, politics. None of those attributes, which are the basic attributes, are being applied with the assistant general. That is what they mean by basic attributes of the assistant general. So that's important to know. So if you want to build a general specifically for use as an assistant general, you don't want to have to focus on cultivating him because the basic attributes will not apply. So and they made sure to let you know that first. And then it says, whenever assistant general special skills are the same as the main general special skills or skills, the assistant general special skills will not take effect. And there's a difference between special skills and skill. Even though, it says special skills, it just really means special skill, just one. There's difference between the two because we all know historic generals come with a special skill. And them not applying, I'll give you an example, we'll be using Roland and Hannibal, who are both mounted generals. So we see Roland, special skill applies. He increases mounted troops attack by 30% and increases mounted troop defense and health power by 15% when general is leading the army. And we clicking on the magnifying glass to see this, just so you know. And when you look at Hannibal, his is grayed out. And that's dealing with the special skill by itself. The special skill, it says, this skill is the same as the main general skill and cannot take effect. Well, we may need a little clarification because when we look at Hannibal, his applies 20% attack for ground troops and mounted troop. And then an extra 15% to mounted troop when they're being leading attack. So that's total of 35%. But the question is, does his boost to ground troops still apply? My guess on the matter is that it does not. One, because the entire skill is being grayed out. And two, the language that they used was that it will not apply. It says whenever assistant general special skills are the same as main general special skills, the assistant general special skill will not take effect. So it didn't say that that part won't take effect. And we can also see that in one particular case is 30% and the other one is 35%, which isn't exactly the same. It's just a matter of both of them increasing the attack of mounted troop. That's the reason why it isn't applying, because it's increasing the attack of mounted troop. Will you be able to increase the attack with mounted troop with a skill? If someone has a special skill, yes. And that's if that special skill does not specify mountain, such as in the case of the Rage King, whom we can still use Roland. And then we go down to the Rage King. The Rage King, he increases all troops. He increases all troops by 10%. And his special skill is allowed to apply. So that's important to understand. So when we talk about special skill, we're speaking about this one skill that comes with all historic generals. And then we talking about skills, we're talking about the skill books that we add to the generals. If you notice, when we go to Roland and Hannibal again, and we use Hannibal as the assistant general, there are other two books that aren't being applied here. The two books that aren't being applied is Mounted Attack and March Size. This is because those two things are already on Roland. Those two things are already on Roland, so they won't allow you to place them on your secondary or your assistant general. The way you go around this is you apply skill books that is not on the main general, such as I did. I thought I was going to use Athelflaed, but I'll be going with the Rage King. But before that, I changed her skill books, and I added Mounted Troop Health Power and Mounted Troop Health Power against monsters and Mounted Troop Defense against monsters. Or you can add Mounted Defense, or you can add Mounted Speed, or you can add Luck, or you can add anything else that's not exactly the same. And as you can see, Athelflaed's her signature ability, special ability skill does not apply when rolling, because it's similar. It's increasing the attack of Mounted. And the reason why this is significant is because Athelflaed's mounted attack increase is directed when she's attacking monsters. But since it's increasing the mounted attack, it doesn't matter that it's mounted that that is monsters or bosses that she's attacking. It matters that it's mounted attack that is being increased. So that's something you want to pay attention to. So, this is just dealing with monsters and bosses. This also applies when you're dealing with PvP as well. So if you want to build up a general specifically for PvP as an assistant attack general, you want to make sure that the skill books are skill books not already being applied on your main general, and that their special skill doesn't correlate. So you may want to use a range general and a siege general and increase just the siege general on the range with range, or even increase more range skill books. For instance, you may want to do on your main general, let's say you got Electra, you already have range attack, range HP, march size, and then you add Napoleon, and you still want to add range defense, range health power, whatever else, maybe range boost, distance, or whatever it's called, whatever, to increase more of what your range is able to do, whilst also increasing the siege. There's various different ways you would use it. You may want to do that more so with Alfred, since Alfred is better with utilizing siege than Electra. But my point to you is you want to plan how you're going to utilize your assistant general. So you're going to need to build an assistant general specifically for those type of attacks. So continue on. It says, whenever the assistant general skills are the same as the main general's special skill or skills, assistant general skill will not take effect. So this, we just covered that the skills have to be different. And then it says, specialties of the assistant general are fully in effect. So it doesn't really matter what the specialties are. If the assistant general has the specialties on it, which means you're going to be boosting those up, those will take effect. The ascending attributes, if you ascend the awakened general and get extra stars, those will not take effect. Also, none of the equipment on the assistant general or even the dragon or spiritual beast won't take effect. Now, what will apply will be some of the buff that the general gets from the dragon. Like some generals get a buff to whatever, for instance, maybe you're using Electra as your secondary general and Napoleon is your primary general, and so Napoleon's special skill is dealing with siege, and Electra is dealing with range, and she needs the dragon to increase her range attack even further. Now, she would have to have that dragon on her in order for her to be able to do that. It will increase her range, that whatever she gets with her. Let's just take a look to see exactly what she gets. She gets increasing with her range when she brings the dragon. Uh, Increases range troop attack by another 20% when general brings any dragon. So she would still get that buff that from that skill, even though she's an assistant general, and the assistant general doesn't get the effect of dragons. That's very important for you to know and understand. And this is because that it still says assistant general still needs to equip dragon to activate corresponding buff. You see what I'm saying? But none of the other stuff that goes along with the dragon, if she's an assistant general, will be utilized. None of the attributes, none of the talents, none of any of that other stuff. Only the buff. But let me not get ahead of myself by saying the talent, because it didn't utilize that word talent for dragon. So it's possible the talents could be in effect, but from the dragon being grayed out and from them not specifically saying that those things will be applied, I have to assume that they won't, because they specifically said that the buff that the general gets, and I gave you an example of the buff, will apply, and they didn't say that other things. But they did mention that the dragon attributes and things would not apply. So that's a lot that they're able to do when you add them. Don't think that now this just makes it impossible for you to be hit. People are going to be doing more rallies, and people are going to be doing more teleporting. But if a guy is K40 and he has two great generals and he hits your K35 and your generals are just not on par, he's still going to zero you. Now you have more options where you could put your assistant general with a debuff special skill there, and not only that, but it's going to be interesting to see if interesting to see how people utilize the skills on their secondary general on the wall. You see, because now you can put another debuff on your city from that area. Or maybe you may use a range general and a ground general and cover your bases in two areas. So, attacks are gonna be less solo, more rallies and teleporting. You know? So overall, I've been waiting for this. We battled another alliance and battlefield, and they had this extra general on their wall. They were attacking us with two generals. We were upset but excited that this was going to come to the game. And this was months ago. So I'm happy that it's finally here. It's a great addition to the game. It's going to be interesting to see how people work through it and see the different types of builds that people come up with and explanations for why what build is better. And I'm excited for this part of the game. It was another excellent addition to the game by Evony. And I love the direction that the game is going in. As always, make sure you guys put life in front of the game. It's more important. And have a great day.